got two words: Bones Hyland. What is going on, Hawks Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Hawks Fan TV. I'm your host, AC. Hope you guys are having a great day out there so far. In today's video, we will be doing a NBA draft profile spotlight on one of my favorite upcoming draft picks in this year's 2021 NBA draft. As many of you know, the Atlanta Hawks have the number 20th selection in this year's draft, and we're coming down on it really soon here. The draft is coming up in just a couple of weeks, and there's a lot of intriguing players in this year's draft. Right now, the way this team is currently constructed, a lot of you guys might say we need a backup point guard, maybe another combo wing player, or maybe a big man. There's a lot of interesting options out there, but one of my favorite players in this year's draft is Bones Hyland. He's a combo guard out of VCU. I love his game. I love his swagger, his demeanor. And we have a very special guest to provide some more in-depth analysis and just overall insight into who Bones Hyland is. So I am joined by a special guest. He is one of the main beat writers for the VCU Athletics Department. He is Wayne Epps Jr. Wayne, welcome to Hawks Fan TV. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Wayne. Really appreciate you joining us today. It sounds like I have the right man for the job. You have been covering this team for the last 4 years. You've seen Bones Hyland up close and personal and probably have the most knowledge about who he is as a player. So for our listeners and viewers out there, Wayne, tell us a little about who Bones Hyland is as a player and what he brings to an NBA team.
Yeah, very dynamic guy, exciting guy to watch. He's a guy, VCU guy, kind of late in the recruiting process, and June 2019 was a big pickup for them, coming in as a point guard at that point of his career. Starting his career in that 1920 season was backing up Marcus Evans, who was the experienced guard at that time, a senior. But then, Marcus was dealing with some injury stuff, and he ended up coming and playing more, particularly in conference play that his freshman year, and really played well, really showed what he was able to do as far as showing off that three-point shooting range, and he's just a natural scorer. He really, the highlight plays are the threes. He can step back, so he can simply shoot from anywhere. He's almost like sort of that logo type of three-point shooter where he can really shoot from anywhere. He has limitless range, but at the same time, he has a kind of silky smooth layup package where he's able to get to the rim. Even at sort of a slight build, he's at 6'2", 169. He's able to find his way to the rim as well. So he's got a very I would say complete offensive game, and one of the things that really showed off this past year, sophomore year, was his defense. He really took that to another level as well, something the VCU coaching staff challenged him to do in the summer before this past season, and it showed he was fifth in the Atlantic 10 in steals, 1.9 per game. He was more vocal on defense, more of a leader on defense, so that was a big improvement in his game, because again, he already showed what he could do offensively as a freshman, but adding the defense to it, just making it himself more of a complete player, I think was big for him this past year. And again, his freshman year, he was more a point guard, a prototypical point guard. His sophomore year, VCU brought in actually one of his good friends named Ace Baldwin, a point guard from Baltimore that grew up playing together, coming up through AU and stuff like that. And so then they put Ace Baldwin at the point guard position as a true freshman. He started the whole season, and that allowed Bones to move to more of the shooting guard position, which kind of opened up his offensive game. He didn't have to worry as much about being a distributor and a playmaker. He could kind of just go and score himself. And it paid off. He ended up being the leading scorer in the league at 19.5 points per game, was Atlantic 10 Player of the Year, and helped take VCU back to the NCAA tournament. So, and obviously that was a big factor in where his draft stock was able to go, and his decision to go ahead and leave school at this point. So this is a very exciting, dynamic player, aggressive player, confident player, and it was fun to watch the past 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Bones is one of my top, ideal picks for the Hawks. I think he fills a great need as he could be a backup point guard to Trey, learn the ropes from him. He can also play the two guard, as you mentioned, as he did this past sophomore season. So he's got a lot of versatility. He's a 6'3", kind of 6'3", lengthy guard, athletic. I love his game. Bones is an interesting player, and what you said, Wayne, what really caught my attention because I noticed this in a lot of his highlight tapes and just following him for the past year. His improved defense. I think at the next level, this could be a very, very underrated aspect of his game. He's got the athleticism, he's got the length to be a really good perimeter defender, and I think with Coach McMillan, someone like Coach McMillan can really unlock that defensive dog in him because he's one of those players that, and you could probably speak to this, kind of went through a lot of adversity in his past life, and to get to where he is now, I feel like he's one of those people that just has that chip on his shoulder, and that's what I love about his game. For Nah'Shon Hyland specifically, Wayne, what are his best aspects of his game? What are his pros that NBA teams love?
I think, again, his range, which he led the A10. He also took a lot of attempts, but he led the A10 in three-point makes last year at 69 and shot 37.1% clip. And again, he can't really shoot it from anywhere. And it was that was one of the fun things to watch with this past year is that he'll step back and pull up and really shoot from anywhere. Even he had a big three in one of VCU's biggest games of the year on the road at Rhode Island, was showing their conference rivals. Hit a deep three, helped them win that game. That was their first win at Rhode Island on the road in a while, so that was a big game for him. But I think that even at his size, he's one of those slight guards who can kind of make up for it by his range, which you can kind of throw Trae Young in that category as well. Obviously, Steph Curry can be kind of prototype for this sort of generation of shooters in that aspect who maybe aren't as big, but can make up for it with that long range. So I think that's a big thing. And obviously, once he gets into an NBA team, they'll probably work with him on putting some more size and weight on, which has been one of his big emphasis even before the draft, working out down in Atlanta, trying to get some more weight on. He's listed there right now, 169 pounds. So yeah, I think that's the big thing. Like shooting is a premium in the league at this point in time. Every team needs and wants shooting and playmakers in that aspect, and so his ability to shoot from pretty much anywhere on the court, I think, is his biggest asset at this point, and they'll continue to work on everything else in his game. So.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, I got excited because on his Instagram story the other day, he did show that he was working out in Atlanta. He even posted a little jersey from the Hawks, and maybe it's foreshadowing of what's things to come down the line. I would love to see him in a Hawks uniform. As far as his shooting ability, that's my favorite aspect of his game, right? You mentioned the limitless range, kind of got that Trae Young, Steph Curry, Damian Lillard type of range. One of the players that I think he resembles a lot like, and just his fearlessness, his shooting ability, is someone like Emmanuel Quickley from the New York Knicks that played at Kentucky last year. Is that a fair comparison, Wayne, or who's another NBA player that you think looks a lot like Nah'Shon Hyland?
Yeah, I think that's a great comparison as well. Early in the playoffs, just watching some games as well, seeing more of him, I would say John Morant was a guy as well that stood out. I think they have a sort of similar build. Obviously, John Morant has kind of otherworldly athleticism, but at 6'3", 174, they're very close in sort of body type as well, and just sort of dynamicism and being able to just make plays, put your head down, get to the rim, while also being able to show off that shooting ability as well. So it's funny seeing John Morant earlier on in the playoffs, him just going out there and winning some games. That kind of reminded me a little bit of Bones this past year. So that's another guy I would throw in that category. But yeah, I think Emmanuel Quickley will fit as well.
Okay, fantastic. Now we talked about the good, Wayne, the range, the playmaking ability, even some defensive ability as well. But as far as his cons about his game, what are some things that teams need to look out for that could be some negatives about Bones?
Well, again, I think he definitely improved his defense, but I think he definitely has some ways to go with that as well, particularly at an NBA level. So I think that'll be one thing. Just playing in an NBA offensive system will be a big thing, and just also I think maybe continuing to work on being a distributor. He hasn't been a high assist guy even when he was playing as a freshman. So I think we probably at his size he'll fit in more at a point guard spot in the NBA. So he'll come to situations where we have to be more of a distributor in some instances, depending on who else is on the court with them. So maybe continue to work on that a little bit as well. But I think the big thing with Bones, one of the big things that stood out to us, watching him when he came in as a freshman, when he started getting more playing time, was just the confidence to make things happen, and kind of, as you can say, hide some of the deficiencies that are there, because he just makes things happen. And he did it in the combine, the scrimmage, about a couple weeks ago on the 24th, when he came in and had 17 points, 3 or 5 from deep, six rebounds. He had 4 assists, so he showed off a little bit of his distributing ability in that game as well, and 2 blocks. So he did a little bit of everything in 23 minutes on the court. And obviously that helped his stock go up even more, these last couple of weeks. But I think continuing to get better on defense, continue to show off his distribution ability will be the 2 big things for him.
Yeah, I completely agree. In recent days, there's been a lot of talks of Nishan and how he's shooting up all these NBA draft boards. Do you think, where do you predict him going in this year's draft? Do you think that there's a possibility that he can fall to number 20 so the Hawks can get him?
I think so. I think he'll be in that 15 to maybe 25 to 30 range. So I definitely think it's feasible. The highest I've seen him has been for the win by USA Today. Mock draft had him at 14 to the Warriors.
Oh, wow.
But then again, I've seen him early second round. I've seen him at the very end, to the Jazz. I've seen him all over the place. So I definitely, like I said, I think his performance in the combine and also his pro day a couple of days later out in Chicago really helped him kind of sort of lock in the first round, because before that, a lot of mock drafts had him either not on the board at all or the early second round range. So I definitely think he's going to be in the first round, but it's going to be very flexible to where he falls, depending on just what team sort of maybe falls in love with him, how he did in the workout there, stuff like that. So I would say anywhere from 15 to 25. So I think 20 is definitely realistic.
Okay. Yeah, I can only hope and pray, because he's my top pick for this year's draft. Last question for you, Wayne, before I let you go is, how do you see a player like Bones Hyland meshing with this current Hawks team, and how he can play alongside maybe Trey and all these rest of these young stars that we have in Atlanta?
Yeah, I think that would be a great situation for him, because again, I think he kind of fits in that type of player as a Trae Young, and I think that system and be able to maybe learn from a guy like Trae Young will be very beneficial for him. Obviously, going into a winner as well. What Nate McMillan has done there, I think that would be a great situation for him. You talk about, obviously, a lot of times, these draft picks go into situations that might not be the best. Teams are losing teams, franchises that haven't had much success, but the Hawks definitely seem to be trending on the upward swing here. So I think being able to learn behind a guy like Trey will be beneficial for him. I think that the system is working on the pick and rolls and everything like that would be beneficial for him. So I think it would be a great fit. And again, he's been training in Atlanta. His agent is based in Atlanta, so that's why he's been training there at a place called the Skill Factory there. Mm-hmm. So it will be sort of you have to stay in that area too. So I think it'll be a great situation for him. And I know he's worked out with them, I believe, this past Tuesday. So I think it'll be a great fit.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And like I said, he is my dream pick in this year's draft. So hopefully he falls. Wayne, I really appreciate you carving out this time to speaking with us and giving us some more detailed insight as to who Nishan Hyland is as an NBA player, college player, and what he could be as an NBA player. Last thing before I let you go, where can all the listeners and viewers find you on social media?
Yes, just on Twitter at Wayne Epps Jr. and you can find the stores online at Richmond.com, Richmond Times-Dispatch. So yeah, that's where everything is located.
All right, well, Wayne, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Hopefully we can have one of these conversations next month when he's actually an Atlanta Hawk, so fingers crossed. But it was a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for your time.
Definitely, it was a pleasure being on. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Have a good one, Wayne.
You too.
Ooh-wee. All right, so there you guys have it. Wayne Epps Jr. from VCU Athletics, one of the main beat writers over there. He saw this guy play for both years he was at VCU. So a lot of good things. You guys saw in the highlights. This dude is just a bucket getter. He gets buckets. That is what he is to do. What he is put on earth to do is get buckets like this. He's got limitless range. His swagger, his demeanor, everything about his game I absolutely love. And I would love to see him pair up next to Trey. And who knows what can happen. Obviously, we have a lot of good guard/wing players. So maybe his minutes will be limited in his first couple of years, but I would love him off the bench because he is that kind of secondary playmaker, a bucket getter that we desperately need. There's a lot of speculation on whether or not Lou Williams is going to come back. He has demanded, or not demanded, but he asked for a multi-year deal, which I personally am not comfortable giving him. So if we did decide to part ways with someone like Lou Williams, then a player like Bones Hyland can certainly fit that need off the bench. So we'll see what happens. The draft is just coming up in a few weeks here. So a lot of interesting players that we can get into, and I'm going to do more of these all throughout the offseason. If you guys have any specific players that you want me to highlight, and for me to interview other beat writers and other followers of different college teams, definitely will do that. So tag some players in the description below of who you want to see, and let me know. But other than that, that's it for today's video. Hawks Nation, I love you guys, and have a great rest of your day. Let's go Hawks.